Big group. Must be big news today. Or else a lot of people disappointed. Well, welcome everyone. Let me introduce from my right, our great Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, who's here. Our great Budget Director, Robert Mahica. If you can call a Budget Director, great, but give him a round of applause.
Poor Rob.
Our great, who calls himself great, Head of ESD, Howard Zemsky. The man of the moment, Mr. John Chotler from Amazon. The great mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio. The deputy mayor, Alicia Glenn, who did a fantastic job here. Thank you very much. James Patchett, who's the CEO of NYC Economic Development Corporation, who worked on this intimately. Great job, James. And we have the senior assembly representative from the community, Catherine Nolan, who...
Cheering section here.
I lived in Sunnyside for a period of time, and Kathy was my assembly person, at which time I issued a lot of constituent complaints. It's before I was in government, so I got it all out of my system and have never done it again. We'll turn it to Mr. Schottler, who has an announcement to make for those who haven't read it already. Take it away, Mr. Schottler.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Hello, my name is John Schottler. I am the Vice President of Amazon's Global Real Estate and Facilities team. And I'm here to confirm that New York will be home to one of Amazon's new headquarters and more than 25,000 new high-paying jobs over the coming decade with room to grow. I'd like to thank Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, and your teams. Their leadership and partnership were instrumental in this process. We currently have more than 4,000 employees in our New York offices, and we are thrilled to start calling Long Island City home as well. Long Island City is a diverse community with a unique blend of cultural and academic institutions, industrial businesses, and a thriving tech sector. It has some of the best transit in New York City and world-class colleges and universities that have produced strong local and regional talent, particularly in software development and related fields. When we start officially hiring here next year, we will be able to attract top-tier talent that will help us innovate on behalf of our customers for years to come. We are also looking forward to investing in the Long Island City community. In addition to hiring more than 25,000 people directly, Amazon will invest more than $2.5 billion in the construction and ongoing operations of this site. That includes tens of thousands of additional jobs and billions of dollars in additional investment in the surrounding community. We will help fund community infrastructure and donate sites for a new public school, a tech startup incubator, and for use by artists and industrial businesses. We will also invest in new green spaces open to the public. Amazon is thrilled about this partnership. I am thrilled about this partnership and what it means for us, the people of New York. We thank you and for welcoming us here, and we look forward to being part of your community. Thank you.
It's our pleasure to welcome you here. As part of the agreement, Amazon is going to go through a brief training program to adopt a New York accent, which is part of the MOU. We have a lot of important people with us today. I'd like to recognize Bill Rudin and John Banks and Gary LaBarbera, who represents the building and construction trades. Let's give them a round of applause. Let me take you through a couple of the specifics, and then you'll hear from the Mayor of New York. This is the largest economic development initiative that has ever been done by the city or the state, or the city and the state together, believe it or not. The numbers, this is up to a $3.6 billion investment by Amazon, 25,000 to 40,000 direct jobs, average salary of over $150,000. That's the average. There are also lower paying jobs, obviously, and higher paying jobs. The number that we focus on is the number of direct and indirect jobs, because you create that nucleus of direct jobs, but there are then indirect jobs that are always created. That's estimated 107,000 jobs. Total economic impact, $186 billion. This was a fierce competition over 54 states, some publicly offering significantly more in economic subsidies than we offered. Our subsidies over 25 years, the state Excelsior tax credit of $1.2 billion, state capital grant of about $505 million, New York City programs of REAP and ICAP, $897 million, $386 million. The total state and city revenue that will be produced is estimated at $27.5 billion. The revenue to incentive ratio is 9 to 1. That is the highest rate of return for an economic incentive program that the state has ever offered. To give you an idea, the film tax credit program, which is one of our main economic development programs, is we invest $1, we get back $1.15, but we get 15 cents more for every dollar. This is a 9 to 1 ratio, and the state doesn't believe we've ever done an investment program with that high a ratio. So we're very excited about it. We're looking at up to an 8 million square foot campus on Long Island City's waterfront, which will be working to expedite the construction. ESD will do a project plan in cooperation with New York City and in consultation with the community, which is the community on that Long Island City waterfront. In many ways, this is a perfect location, and there's a lot happening in Queens. Amazon talked about the infrastructure and improving infrastructure. No state and no city is improving infrastructure as much as New York State and New York City, or as quickly. This location is proximate to LaGuardia Airport, which is now under construction, which is going to be the first new airport in this nation in 25 years. It's proximate to JFK, which is under construction, which will be the first international new airport in this country in 25 years. It's right next to Citi Field. It's right next to the air train, which is under development, which will go from LaGuardia, Citi Field, to the new Penn Station, which is across the street from Penn, which is under construction. And if I can get Gary LaBarber to get us more workers, we'll be done even faster. That was just a little boat that we would say in Italian. New Kosciuszko Bridge, which has one span up, and the second span is being expedited. The city's done a magnificent job with ferry service, which will go right from that Long Island City waterfront right to Midtown Manhattan, literally in 5 or 10 minutes. So in many ways, this location benefits from many other investments that are going on and many other initiatives that the city and the state are in the midst of. And the mayor and I were talking about this. We were together at Housing and Urban Development for many years. The key for a state or a region or a city, you want to be ahead of the economic curve. Who is attracting the businesses of tomorrow today? And that is the city, the state, the region that will flourish. Economic development is the engine that pulls the train, period. Either you are creating jobs or you are losing jobs. Either you are part of the economy of tomorrow or you're part of the economy of yesterday. This is a competition. And for us, it's about being part of the economy of tomorrow. And Amazon, no doubt, is a big, big asset in the entire tech space. I believe there's going to be a positive synergy with many of the other companies, Cornell Tech, Google, Squarespace. So I think it's exciting for Amazon. I know it's exciting for the state of New York. And it is exactly putting us ahead of the curve. This was a very difficult process. As I mentioned, 54 states supposedly competed. We know from public information that many of the states and cities were offering more in economic incentives than we were offering. We believe that we had other benefits that were inherent to what we were already doing, and with the arrogance of a New Yorker, inherent to New York. But there's no doubt that it was a very tough competition, and I want to credit the teams that actually did this. The state-city partnership made it happen. It would not have happened without the partnership. I applaud the people on my side, Howard Zemsky and Robert Mahika, and on the city side, Alicia Glenn and James Patchett did a great, great job working together. There were a lot of twists and turns, and they had to constantly adjust, and they did. And they did a magnificent job, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And I believe the credit goes to the top, to the CEO, because we know the blame goes to the top whenever there's bad news. So I think the credit goes to the top, and I think the credit goes to the mayor of the city of New York. Congratulations. Job well done. Congratulations.
First, I want to say, Governor, congratulations to you, your team, Rob Mahika, Howard Zemsky, everyone on your team. I know this was a very, very intensive effort over the last year. As you said, absolutely nationwide competition. I don't think we've quite seen anything like this before. States putting a huge, and cities putting a huge amount of subsidy dollars forward. We had to play to the whole range of strengths that we have. I think your team did a great job with that. And the proof is in the pudding here. I know for you, there's a special meaning in this as a proud son of Queens. That this is
no bias. I had no bias.
That's right. Particularly, look, it's a great day for New York City. It's an extraordinary day for Queens. And it's something that everyone should be very proud of. That once upon a time, people thought of New York City, they only thought of Manhattan. As a Brooklynite, I never liked that. As a son of Queens, I know you never liked that. Well, what has happened, I'm proud that we've been able to do a lot of this together, is we really have a 5-borough economy now. We also have the extraordinary renaissance of Brooklyn. We've been seeing it happening in Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island. This certainly consolidates Queens as a great economic capital and consolidates New York City as a great international tech hub. So there's a lot for you and your team to be proud of. I want to say with real appreciation to John Shuttler, your team bargains hard, and your team was extraordinarily thoughtful, creative, professional. But from the beginning, you laid out that you were ready to do something that no one had ever seen before. Because I really want people to go back and look at the history of what we previously considered to be a great jobs acquisition deal. What we previously thought was a lot of new jobs, that's been wiped away by this deal. This is by far the biggest new jobs deal in the history of New York City, the history of New York State. But I want to give credit where credit is due. Amazon came forward with a vision. You said from word one, you were looking for where you could find the talent. Many other factors, but what came shining through is where can you find the best talent in the world. And I know from the meetings I was a part of and my team was a part of, you not only wanted the best talent, you wanted diverse talent. I want to commend you for that. Well, I can say to you, Mr. Shuttler, and to everyone at Amazon, you came to the right place. Because we have the finest talent in the world, we have the most diverse talent, and it's going to help your company to move forward, and we are so glad to have you here. So thank you so much. Congratulations to Amazon. I'll be brief, but I gotta say to Alicia Glenn, to James Patchett, to their teams, you know, I was briefed constantly on this, and there was an immense amount of work that took place over the course of a year. I saw, again, on our side, tremendous creativity, effort, a sense of persistence that goes with our great city and our great state. This was not by any stretch. Some people out there talk about foregone conclusions. I can say there were no foregone conclusions in this process. This was a long, hard-fought battle. I think both of you and your teams did an extraordinary job. So congratulations to you. Well done. To the elected officials, to Congressmember Carolyn Maloney, now in the majority, I'd like to note. Look forward to calling you chairwoman quite soon. Assemblymember Kathy Lowen, who already is a chair, thank you both for your support. We're going to do a lot of great work together. I want to note someone who could not be with us but believes in this 110%, Senator Chuck Schumer, who I've spoken to several times about the importance of winning Amazon's presence here in New York City, believes that this is going to be a game changer for our city and our state. He has been a huge booster, and his support always matters, and he's been a big part of this too, so I want to give him a real shout out. You know, this is something I think people all over Long Island City, all over Queens, all over the city, folks in the tech community, folks in business, folks in civic organizations, there's a lot of people who see the extraordinary potential that's being opened up here. I want to thank so many people who are present here from the community. From the business sector, from the civic sector, understand what this could mean for all of us. Special shout out to Gary LaBarbera, because there's going to be a huge number of new union construction jobs, and we're excited about that. There's also going to be a lot of union jobs once the buildings are built in building services, and we're really looking forward to that as well. Also, this site is very near to the largest public housing development in all of the United States of America, Queensbridge Houses. I want to shout out April Simpson, President of the Residents Association. And April is a great advocate for the residents of Queensbridge, but I can tell you right here, baked into the deal, a lot of great specific efforts to help the residents of Queensbridge, training, job opportunities. It's really exciting what this is going to mean. One of the biggest companies on earth, next to the biggest public housing development in the United States. The synergy is going to be extraordinary. We're going to get a lot done together. Also want to say, you know, we know another city, another state benefited here, and I want to give them credit and give them congratulations to Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia, and to Katie Crystal, who's the Arlington County Board Chair in the area of Crystal City. They fought hard, they won as well, so we share that congratulations with you. Everyone, look, I want to put this in human terms so that everyone understands what this means for New York City, because I hear every day New Yorkers, folks who live in public housing saying, where can I get a job, where can I get opportunity? Kids who are in our public schools, who want to get into the tech community. Students at CUNY, students who just graduated from CUNY, who are looking for that opportunity. This is going to open the doors for all of them. I have to say, in my dealings with the tech community writ large, I've never seen more focus on education and training. And it's something that's been a great blessing for this city. This plan really pulls that all together in a powerful manner. We're going to have an opportunity here for tens of thousands of New Yorkers, everyday New Yorkers, kids who come up through our public schools, kids who go to our community colleges and our four-year colleges, to have opportunity at Amazon. And not just at Amazon, but we know that Amazon's presence is going to help to build the entire tech sector. In this city now, that tech ecosystem is about 350,000 jobs. Just got a huge boost from Amazon's decision to come here. But we know that's only going to spark a lot more growth. We see a future where that tech community could be 500,000 jobs or more. And that's going to be great for everyday New Yorkers looking for opportunity. The quality of the jobs, too, astounding that the average salary we're talking about here, $150,000. It's amazing the opportunity that's going to create. But remember, there's going to be a lot of jobs in that building, and those buildings, that for folks that are going to make less than $150,000, but are going to make a great salary, and are going to come in and have opportunity like they never had before. So there's something extraordinary, not about just this, but what it's going to lead to, the multiplier effect here. Look, from the beginning, what I've said is this has to be a city for everyone. And the things the city is focused on have been about building that foundation, making us a safe city, the safest big city in America, building affordable housing, creating educational opportunity. But it all comes together in also creating great jobs that everyday New Yorkers can get. So this is the piece of the puzzle that takes us even farther. We're going to work with Amazon and work with the whole technology community to build a workforce even better than today's. And we're proud of what we have now, but with our Computer Science for All initiative in our schools, with our tech talent pipeline, with all the exciting work being done at Cornell Technion, there's going to be more and more talent. You're going to see a constant upswing in the kind of talent that's available in this town, and we're excited about that. There's a reason even before this great decision by Amazon, Google had made a decision to keep expanding. Facebook, you've seen so many companies decide that you can't achieve what you want to achieve if you're not in New York City. And Amazon has now put the biggest exclamation point in the world on that. And we are so, so proud of that. And I think for Long Island City, for Queens, again, this is going to open up a huge number of doors for economic development, way beyond just the tech community. Let's be clear. We're excited for Amazon. We're happy for Amazon, but I want to be really straightforward. We don't, in the public sector, the City of New York, we don't measure success in corporate profits. We measure success in how many everyday people benefit. This plan that we all put together, we are convinced, is going to benefit everyday New Yorkers in huge numbers, tens of thousands. And it's going to be something that really transforms people's lives. You've heard the facts on the numbers. I want to emphasize the other pieces of the plan. The public space that's being created is going to be a great asset for Long Island City. The training programs that are being created, the space for arts groups, industrial groups, a lot of things people have been arguing for, fighting for, they're going to be there. A lot of infrastructure spending has already been done in Long Island City. A lot is planned for Long Island City, over $2 billion. More will keep coming in as more and more positive development occurs. So for folks in Long Island City who are rightfully saying, how are we going to get the support we need to make this work for our community, I can say that we are ready to stand by you, make sure that that support is there, because Long Island City, the city and the state, is growing for a reason, for a very good reason, and we want to support that with the kind of infrastructure investment needed. Finally, just want to accent what you heard about the tax base impact. And I think this has been left out of the discussion a little bit too much. The governor had a slide there that was absolutely astounding, 9-to-1 positive impact, tax revenue coming back to the state and city versus the incentive programs. The city alone, we project $13.5 billion in tax revenues over 25 years. Folks who look at this have to look at the whole picture. This is a city that believes in helping people. This is a city that believes in lifting people up, helping folks who haven't had as much opportunity. Sometimes that's job training, sometimes that's in public education, sometimes it's in public housing, you name it. We need resources to make all that happen, and we need resources to keep developing that for the people of the city. $13.5 billion new tax revenue for New York City. That's part of how we keep this a city that actually supports everyone. I want to thank everyone who's involved. We've talked about in New York City, our vision is to be the fairest big city in America. This is going to help us do it. And Governor, just with your indulgence for a moment, because it is New York City, I have to say a few quick words in Espanol. Hoy la ciudad de Nueva York da un paso gigante hacia una prosperidad sostenible para todos. Amazon va a abrir una sede en Long Island City con 40,000 empleos bien pagados. Nuestra ciudad se unió para lograr esta victoria para los trabajadores neoyorquinos. Congratulations to all.
Beautiful.
Muchísimas gracias.
Well done. Also an unrelated point, Stan Lee passed away yesterday. He was a great New Yorker.
Yes.
Fantastic career, great contribution, Marvel Comics, but he was a classic New Yorker. He used to end with the word Excelsior. Excelsior is the state motto. I've been trying to introduce it to the younger generation. It says everything. Ever upward. Excelsior, ever upward, ever upward. Aspirational. That's what New York is all about. And that's what Stan Lee meant when he signed off Excelsior, ever upward. And today is an ever upward day. This is big, big news. As I said, we have never, in the history of the state's economic development, we think the largest economic development project besides this one that brought the most jobs was about 1,500 jobs. This on the low end is 25,000 jobs, just to put it in perspective. So it's a great, great day. Any questions on topic or for myself? I know you have questions for the mayor alone, and when we're finished with the on topic, I'll excuse myself and John will excuse himself, and you can talk to the mayor about any specifics.
Let me ask you first of all, and you've heard the folks say, if you've got this kind of money, why not spend it on somewhere? And then also from Mr. Douglas, because it is New York City, we've got a lot of smart people here, it is New York, we really need to spend almost $3 billion to get you to come here.
Well, welcome to New York.
Yeah. New York Press Corps, nothing like it.
Yeah.
You can either do this or you can go to the dentist. With no anesthesia.
What he meant to say was he's happy to see you're coming
He
here.
said, it's a New Yorker's way of saying, welcome, we like you.
We'll do simultaneous
Yes,
translation.
yes. Because he was smiling, that's how you can tell. First, we don't have this kind of money. We're going to make this kind of money from this transaction. For every dollar we invest, we're going to get back about $9, give or take. So to find the money that we need to invest in the subways, invest in schools, etc., this is a big money maker for us. Costs us nothing. Nada, niente, goose. We make money doing this. And to get Amazon here, did we have to win the competition? Yes, we had to win the competition. Amazon in some ways, and I've said that to some of you before, Amazon just memorialized what was going on already. There has always been a competition among states and cities for businesses. And there is a constant bidding war, existing businesses and new businesses, where states and cities have been in competition with each other. And we'll have existing businesses in New York who get a call from a state on a weekly basis saying, if you come here, we'll offer you this, we'll offer you this, we'll offer you this. Amazon sort of memorialized it by announcing it and given the scale of what they were doing. But it was not a new concept to the Alicia Glens or the Howard Zemskys of the world. This is day in, day out, the status of economic development. There's constant and ferocious competition among the different states and the different cities. And if they get a better offer from someone else, they'll go somewhere else. And look, we start with a liability. You can go to a state and pay no income tax, right? If you're Amazon and you're sitting there making a decision, looking at the numbers, you go to Texas, you go to Florida, you go to Virginia, who competed here, they have about half the income taxes that we have. So it's not a level playing field to begin with. And you're factoring against that from the get-go.
I think the governor answered it very well. And, but you know, we have to perform. We have to hire people and we have to be here. And we will invest billions of dollars before the city and the state start seeing any money. So it comes from us first.
Governor, why is our incentive package worth twice as much per employee as the one handed out by Virginia today?
I don't know how they calculated it and what they actually calculated. So I don't have an idea of how they put together their transaction. But again, we don't start in the same place with Virginia, right? They have about half, their income tax rate is just about half of what our income tax rate is. So you have to factor in all the elements. But I don't know what they count in and what they count out. Are they counting cost of job on direct jobs or on the direct plus indirect jobs? So there's all sorts of ways to work these numbers.
Governor, one of the issues that is raised by the lawmakers who represent Long Island City has to do with transportation. And they say that already the subways that go to Long Island City are overcrowded and have delays, et cetera, et cetera. Will you be using any of this money, or will Amazon be using any money to upgrade the infrastructure to provide new transportation to the area once you have 25,000 to 40,000 people working in the area?
Short answer is yes, but I think the mayor and Kathy can speak to that.
We have to address the transportation needs of Long Island City. There's no question. I'm very proud to say that our administration put in NYC ferry service that's benefiting the people of Long Island City and Western Queens right now. And I think it's one of the things that actually helped in terms of Amazon's considerations. But we have to look at every conceivable way to improve and increase the amount of mass transit available to people in Long Island City. We'll obviously be working closely with the state, the MTA, but there are some real interesting options. There's the potential of adding a new LIRR stop in the broader community. There's potential of adding something like a shuttle bus service from our ferry around the bigger community to provide more access to the ferry for residents of the whole community. And we'll look at every kind of option because this is something that community residents have raised. It's absolutely valid. By the way, Amazon or no Amazon, this is something we had to address in the long haul. Certainly have heard that from the local representatives many times. Important to understand in the first instance where Amazon will be in its initial build out is in a location with extraordinary mass transit, I believe on top of 4 existing subway lines in the building, the city building, right? The One Court Square. So short term, the presence of Amazon in their initial build out, I don't think it's going to have a huge impact because they'll be right there with those 4 subway lines. Obviously, a lot of people who are going to Amazon to work are either going to choose to live in the neighborhood or reverse commute in some places from other parts of the city. But ultimately, we have to invest more in mass transit in Long Island City.
Just a follow-up, will you be using any of the money that you get from having Amazon to give to the MTA to develop a subway system and fix it?
Well, look, we're going to do a budget next year, Marcia, but this is no doubt going to be a big revenue source for the city and for the state. It goes in phases. As the mayor mentioned, the first phase is they'll be occupying the
One Court Square.
Yeah, what I call the old Citibank building, because I am a Queens boy and we call it the Citibank building. So that will start, and the transportation is there, and then the revenues will be done in the general overall budget. But the mayor raises a very good point. Remember, this started with what was called Queens West, which is the residential development, which is just south. And this is literally right on the water. And the ferry service makes so much sense for this area. It always made me crazy that New Jersey developed their whole waterfront actually before us. And they had residential along the Hudson River, and they were very aggressive with the ferry service. And it only begged the point, well, that's Queens and the Bronx, even parts of Brooklyn, the waterfront is more proximate. And with the ferry service, you can open up a whole skyline. So I think we have short-term and long-term answers. But will the additional revenue help us with the stressed budget? No doubt.
I'm sorry, one other, hold on. We're coming to you. One other point. The arrangement that's been struck is really important to note. The pilot payments that will be made by Amazon will be specifically delineated for the larger Long Island City community. So that's revenue that is going to go specifically to community infrastructure needs. And that was a very important part of the negotiations. That money, just so everyone's clear, is not going to the immediate Amazon campus. It's going to the needs of the surrounding community, and we're very pleased that was part of the deal.
On that note, critics have charged that these pilots, since they're in lieu of taxes and going towards Long Island City specifically, are basically another subsidy for Amazon. I'm hoping that either or both of you could comment on that.
Again, I'm going to start by saying, and my colleagues can feel free to jump in who are more close to the specifics, but the entire concept was to take that new revenue, which wouldn't have been there otherwise. Again, I want everyone to sort of zero in on the counterfactual. If they didn't come, thank you for showing up in New York City, if they didn't come, then that revenue wouldn't have been there. They didn't say, we didn't say, oh, that revenue is just going to your piece of the neighborhood. We're saying the opposite. That revenue is going to the rest of the neighborhood that has huge infrastructure needs. So that's where I think it's a smart equation. It's an enlightened equation to delineate those resources for the needs of the bigger community.
Google did not need billions
guys, let's take it easy.
Google did not need billions in subsidies to make its decision to come to New York. I guess what makes Amazon so special?
Night and day number, if I'll jump in here. We've never seen, guys, the questions are very fair and should be asked and should be debated. But let's start at the beginning. We've never seen 25,000 new jobs ever in the entire history of the city or state. We've never even come close. And that's the minimum. That's the contractual minimum. Already on the table is the potential to go to 40,000. I think we have to understand we value all of these other companies. We want them here. We'd love to see them expand. But this was unprecedented. And Amazon had a national competition because they had something worth competing for that everyone in the country wanted.
Also, how is this going to be allowed for the state budget, basically? I mean, how can you guarantee that, Senator Gianaris, for instance, who's been a critic of this project, will, sign off on these subsidies from the upcoming state budget, Governor?
Yeah, there is no delineation specifically for this project in the state budget.
I'm sorry, do you mean you're going to tap existing economic development programs that come up with the 500 million and not
Yes.
make it separate? Which programs specifically, Governor?
The economic development programs, the ESD programs, Excelsior tax credits, and the economic capital grant programs. No.
Charlie, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry. Apologies for screaming. We're a little far back from you guys. So,
And he would scream anyway. Discount that line.
so you had a big competition, but what you were looking for at the end of the day was talent. And you weren't really going to find that in Danbury, Connecticut, and some of the other places that were competing for your attention. Was the entire competition held in bad faith?
Let me stop you for a second. When they talk about New Yorkers and how they discount the rest of the world, that's what you just heard. You're not going to find talent in Connecticut. That's a fairly broad overstatement, I would say. They do have talent in Connecticut. And there are other parts of the country with talent. But with that, you can go ahead.
We traveled to over 20 different cities, and we looked at a lot of different factors. And it was talent, it was the opportunities to develop. We looked at what our employees want and where they would want to live. And to be able to offer them 3 different opportunities, New York, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and other offices around the nation as well as the world. That's what we're really looking for, is the opportunities to be able to attract and retain top-tier talent.
You had a question. That was your question. That's how it works in New York. You had a question too. Who didn't have a question? Young lady?
Governor, can you tell us how this will move through the land use project? There's been some complaints from city council members that this looks like it won't be going through Mueller, but that they won't be part or haven't
This will be handled by the Empire State Development Corporation, which does what's called a general project plan in consultation with the city, in consultation with community groups. We've used this methodology quite often. Queens West was done as a general project plan. Belmont Racetrack is a new project we're doing as a plan. The Brooklyn Bridge Park was a project plan. Columbia University, new campus was a project plan. Moynihan is a project plan. So it's done by ESD in consultation with the city and the community, but it expedites the process. And here, the expedition factor was a factor in the competition, right? Because Amazon wanted to move to a place where they knew they would have an expedited facility being constructed. And that's our way of doing it. Well, we've done it many times before. Anyone without a question?
The mayor as well, you often talk about how New York is a union town. Are there any concerns about that and some of the reporting that's been done about how Amazon treats some of its workers in other parts of the country?
Look, I would start by saying I am very happy that Amazon will benefit from being in an environment that's pro-union. And we'll start to see why this union town works so well. We have a booming economy. We now are about to, with this announcement, surpass 4.5 million jobs, the most we've ever had. This city works better than ever before, and it's the biggest union town in America. So I think it's great for Amazon to have that experience, see it. We're always going to be supportive of the union movement. This is something the governor and I both believe in. Every company has their rights, but we're certainly going to, in this instance, I think, expose Amazon to some of the good, and you've heard, you're going to see union jobs in construction, union jobs in building services.
Governor, promise that 25,000 more commuters in Long Island City won't make Queens residents' subway rides miserable?
Please, hold on. Go ahead, Kathy. Hold on a sec.
I just want to say something about the local Long Island City community. When going all the way back to the beginning of Queens West, we wanted a multi-use community, which is what we had at the turn of the century when it was a manufacturing community. So one of the things that's a positive here is we had been unable up until now to get a lot of office space and to come into Long Island City, so that Queens West really became residential when the original plan was to have a commercial as well and in office space. So you're going to have a certain amount of reverse commuting. The other thing, which is good, and will keep people off the trains because they'll be living in Long Island City as well as working, which is what young people today want in the sustainable environmental economy. The other thing I just want to add is that there has been, in the MTA capital plan, it came out, it went in, it went out, but I'm sure now it will be back in. We funded many years ago a $2 million study to have at Long Island Railroad Station in Sunnyside, and we want that. Many of us have wanted that for 20 years. So I think that this is an opportunity to fulfill, going all the way back to Peter Goldmark's first reports when the governor and I were just young people running around Long Island City. It was his bachelor pad. I don't want to go there. But anyway, you know, I think this can actually be... Okay. Anyway, it's the fulfillment. It can be the fulfillment of many things that we've been working on.
I'm not taking any more questions.
Yes,
John, congratulations. Welcome to New York.
Thank you. Welcome so much. Well done. Good. You know when to get out.
I know. After that bachelor question.
James, you're not coming over. Are you coming over? I thought you were trying to escape. I'm not going to allow it. Great job. You and your